Hello one and all, this is Soul Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Shadow of the Tomb Raider for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. This is the third in a proposed trilogy of Tomb Raider games, starting with the reboot that occurred in 2013, and I loved it. Followed by Rise of the Tomb Raider that came out on both 7th and 8th generation consoles, and now we are here with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Shadow of the Tomb Raider not only follows the narrative and the characterization that we've seen over the last two games in this rebooted franchise, but also Jonah, who is our best friend, who was introduced in the 2013 reboot and has been able to survive throughout the entire franchise thus far. Even though he's been involved in some catastrophic events and almost supernatural elements, the overall plot involves Lara trying to go against the supergroup, the hidden, almost Illuminati-style group known as Trinity, who is trying to potentially conquer the world or remake the world in their image. And Lara trying to prevent this from happening. She has potentially started the apocalypse. And so far, the story isn't that dynamic, it isn't that memorable. It really isn't that much different from what we've experienced in the last two Tomb Raider games. But the characterization, the dynamic between Jonah and Lara, more than makes up for the lack of a progressive or even innovative story, in my opinion. The action and the gameplay more than likely is why you're playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Because, of course, the Tomb Raider games are all about puzzles, they're all about exploration, but over the last couple of games, a lot of action has crept in. Thankfully, from what I've seen thus far, it's less about the action and more about exploring your environment, finding plants, hunting animals, and of course discovering those challenge tombs. I've only done a couple challenge tombs thus far, but I can see why they have that name. Gameplay wise, Shadow of the Tomb Raider feels just like the other two. A lot of the implementation, like the grapple hook and repelling and the combat itself and the stealth, are pretty much the same as Rise and the 2013 reboot. There are a couple of additions that I truly appreciated that to a certain extent makes it a little bit easier, especially when it comes to stealth. You can muddy up Lara and stand beside a mud-covered wall and blend in and perform some stealth kills. That is really fun. You can throw Molotov cocktails at opponents. You can tie them up in trees. You can do a lot of innovative stuff when it comes to the combat aspect of this game, but the basis and the foundation of the combat and the gameplay itself, be it climbing, be it solving puzzles, and be it, of course, the combat, are pretty much rooted in what was established 2 games ago. The only issues I've had technically with this game thus far is some graphical glitches. The enemy AI isn't the best, it isn't the smartest. When it comes to the higher difficulty levels, it's just more about how much damage they can do and not how much better or effective they are at doing their job. Overall, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is just as good, if not better, than the previous two. It might not have the drama of the 2013 reboot. It might not have the vast improvements, both graphically and to a certain extent gameplay-wise, as Rise did in comparison to the 2013 reboot. But it's really the culmination of everything they've worked on to try to reboot this franchise, to make it a viable product once again. If you've enjoyed the previous 2 Tomb Raider games, definitely get this one. You will hands down love it. If you didn't really care for the 2013 reboot or Rise of the Tomb Raider, more than likely you won't care for this one as much. But you might like it a little bit better than the previous 2, since it really is rooted more in the exploration and discovery aspect of the original Tomb Raider games. So maybe give it a try. I say give it a rental and see if it connects with you better than the previous two, because I think it will. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, with another video game first impressions. Shadow of the Tomb Raider for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Now, if you don't mind, I have a plane to jump out of. Because if I don't, the world could end. And if that happens, how in the world will I be able to go around and pet some llamas? So they can say in their own language afterwards, when they feel all of this love, "Oh Lordy."